As part of your Form 10-K filed with the SEC, you will disclose information about your equity compensation plans if none of them are on the ballot for shareholder approval at the annual shareholders meeting today on Zippy Point. I'm Brock Romanek. I'm a big fan of yous. The legal requirements. Let's dig right in. If none of your equity compensation plans are being submitted for shareholder approval at the upcoming annual shareholders meeting, item 12 in part 3 of Form 10-K refers to item 201D of Regulation S-K, which dictates what must be disclosed. Now note that item 10 of Schedule 14A is the source of the requirement here. If any of your plans are being submitted for shareholder approval at the next annual meeting, whether the plan is up for approval because it's a new plan or one of your existing plans is being modified. So see my separate Vid-Guide about item 10 and what you disclose in the proxy if you do seek shareholder approval, as well as some nice proxy solicitation guidance to help you obtain shareholder approval from Reed Pearson of Alliance Advisors. A link to that is beneath this video. So what do you disclose? When item 201D was adopted, the SEC stated in its 2001 adopting release that you must include all of a company's compensation plans in effect as of the end of the company's last fiscal year that have equity awards. That includes any individual compensation arrangements under which equity is authorized for issuance. Now, Instruction 1 to item 201D specifies the types of plans that are covered, both employee and non-employee plans, parents and subsidiaries, and an equity compensation plan is considered in effect for purposes of item 201D as long as any equity remains available for issuance, even if you don't intend to issue it. So item 201D prescribes a very specific tabular format, and if you have plans that were adopted without shareholder approval, you're going to need some narrative disclosure about those two in addition to this table. Item 201D3 requires companies to provide a brief narrative description of the plan's material features. And even though it says brief, the disclosure made by most companies is pretty fulsome. Some of it is a result of a carryover from when Section 162M required approval of performance-based arrangements every 5 years. That requirement is now gone, but the practice of companies having some pretty fulsome disclosure continues forward. And part of it is due to the fact that there have been a spate of proxy disclosure lawsuits in recent years where the plaintiff's lawyers scrutinize the pay disclosures that companies make line by line to see if there are any technical footfalls. Just know that if you have materially similar plans, you can provide a single description. The CorpFin staff gave this guidance to the American Bar Association, the ABA, in an interpretation letter in 2004 about that. A copy of this ABA interpretive letter is actually posted on the SEC's website. In that same interpretive letter, the staff said that you must name each director or officer that received an individual equity compensation arrangement not approved by shareholders, disclosing the number of securities covered by the arrangement. And so see that ABA letter, read it in full because it's pretty good guidance that you need to know. Now, although Instruction 7 to item 201D permits you to satisfy this brief narrative disclosure requirement by cross-referencing to a description of the non-shareholder approved equity comp plans in the financials, if they contain that required information, many practitioners don't recommend that given the interest in the plaintiff's bar for these types of disclosures. Don't leave these disclosures for the accountants to hash out. They might be fine and maybe you'll end up copying them in the 10K itself, but maybe you won't. Maybe you'll be enhancing them a little bit. If you have an evergreen plan, Instruction 8 to item 201D requires a footnote description of the formula used to calculate the number of securities available under the plan. So location, where does this go in the 10K? Well, the disclosure goes in item 12 of part 3 of the 10K, not item 5 in part 2, as pursuant to this CorpFin staff interpretation. It's easy to get confused here because on its face, this disclosure could fit under item 5 or item 12, but the staff wants you to put it in item 12. Of course, if you voluntarily put this table in your proxy, meaning it's in the proxy, even though there's no plan up for a vote, which some companies do indeed do, you can incorporate that by reference into the 10K. So here's Microsoft's 2020 10K, which states that it's incorporating this disclosure by reference from the proxy. So that happens a lot. A lot of companies do it. Anyways, let me know what you think.